Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, sir.
સર હજી જોઈન નથી થયા.
Good morning, sir. Sir,
સર હજી જોઈન નથી થયા.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, all of you.
Good morning.
Morning,
Sir.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Hello.
Good
Good
morning.
morning, sir.
Good
Good
morning,
morning,
Good
sir.
sir.
morning, all of you.
Good morning,
Morning,
Sorry
sir.
for the
sir.
delay. I'm sorry for the delay. If you can please, all of you, write your name and roll number once again.
Okay, sir.
Yes, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Sir, today we will do chapter number 16.
Just give me a
Just give
minute.
me a minute.
What are you
What are
saying?
you
Can you
saying?
please
Can you please
repeat?
repeat?
Sir, today
Sir,
we will
today
do
we will
chapter
do
number
chapter number
16.
15.
Okay.
Okay.
First, let me take the attendance first. Just give me a few minutes, right? And then I'll
Okay,
inform you
sir.
what we are going to do today.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Okay. So welcome all of you. And today we are going to start with this chapter that we left last time. We were discussing about the importance of air.
Yes. Yes, sir.
Can you hear all of you?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Now I'll ask the roll number to read, but do you want me to revise what we were doing last time?
No,
No.
sir.
Okay. Just for the recap, we discussed last time. We discussed about the importance of air. We also learned about the properties of air, and we were also discussing how what is our air made up of. We know that with the help of experiments, we were able to find out that air is mixture of water vapor, oxygen, nitrogen, carbon dioxide, dust, and smoke particles. Now, today we are going to do an activity which you can do at your home also, which could be useful to find out we can see dust particles which are floating in the air with the help of this activity. So I request roll number 43.
Yes, sir.
Can you please read activity 4?
Activity 4. Find a sunny room in your school or home. Close all the doors and windows with curtains pulled down to make the room dark. Now open the door or a window facing the sun just a little in such a way that it allows sunlight to enter the room only through a slit. Look carefully at the incoming beam of sunlight. Do you see do you see some tiny shining particles moving in the beam of sunlight? Figure 15.7. What are these particles? During winters, you might have observed similar beams of sunlight filtered through the trees in which dust particles appear to dance merrily around. This shows that air also contains dust particles. The presence of dust particles in air varies from time to time and place and from place to place. We inhale air when we breathe through our nostrils. Fine hair and mucus are present inside the nose to prevent dust particles from getting into the respiratory system. Do you recall being scolded by your parents when
Okay,
you
okay.
breathe?
Thank you. Thank you, beta. Thank you. Thank you for reading this. And this activity shows that you can watch the dust particles. We all learned that there is dust and smoke around the room. But how do we find out that these dust particles are so small? They are very small, which we cannot see. Normally, we cannot see it. Even though sometimes we feel, but we cannot see it. So, in order to observe these dust particles, we can do an activity. What we can do is we can close all the doors and windows, and we can slightly open a part of a window, or a slide you can slide the curtain a little bit so that sun rays directly falls into your room. When sun rays falls in your room, you will observe that there are small dust particles. You can see where there is a light falling. In that area, you can see the small dust particles. Now, all of you just you might have done this activity, but just give me a minute. I'll try to show this on a YouTube video so that it becomes more clear to you. So, are you ready to watch
Okay,
the
sir.
video?
Yes.
Okay. So
Yes,
just
sir.
Yes, sir.
just
सर
give me a
श्योर
minute. Let me
बोलिए
get
नहीं
that
कहीं
video
समझा
playing.
नहीं सर
Yes.
मैं टीचर हूँ ना तो बोलिए नहीं कहीं समझा नहीं
Can you repeat, please? Okay. If you are not able to understand, I'll re-explain it once again. But first, let's watch this video so that the idea it becomes very clear what we are talking about. Can you all see the screen that I'm looking at?
Yes, sir. Yes,
yes
sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now, this is what we are talking about. Have you ever observed these kind of small dust particles floating in your room?
Yes, sir.
no
Okay.
No.
Yes.
Sir.
Yes.
So have you seen that dust particles?
Yes,
Yes.
sir.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
For all those who haven't seen it, जिन लोगों ने नहीं देखा है, उन लोगों को I'll tell once again how do you can see it. सपोज आप लोगों के घर में दिन का कोई भी ऐसा वक्त होगा जब डायरेक्ट धूप आती हो, किसी एक रूम में या किसी एक जगह पर जहां पर डायरेक्ट धूप आती हो. व्हाट यू कैन डू इज उस टाइम पर अपने रूम के सारे दरवाजे खिड़कियां सब चीजें बंद कर देनी है आपको. आफ्टर दैट open only one part of that door or a window or that curtain जहां से डायरेक्ट धूप आती है. और थोड़ी दूर जाने के बाद अगर आप उस रूम में देखोगे, थोड़ा डिस्टेंस रखने के बाद, यू विल ऑब्जर्व दैट देर आर स्मॉल पार्टिकल्स विच you can see in that sun rays. Now, these particles are all over the room, but sunlight helps us to see this very clearly. So, is there anyone who hasn't done or who hasn't seen this kind of observation? ऐसा कोई है जिन्होंने ये कभी
Yes.
देखा ही नहीं है?
सर मैंने देखा है।
सर मैंने देखा हुआ है।
सर मैंने भी
मैंने
देखा
देखा
है।
है।
बेटा
सर मैंने
आई
देखा है।
सर मैंने
बेटा
भी
आई एम
देखा
आस्किंग. आई नो
सर मैंने
इट्स
भी देखा
वेरी
है।
गुड कि आप लोगों ने देखा है, बट इज देयर एनीवन जिसने ना देखा हो? इट्स ओके, नहीं देखा, इट्स फाइन. यू कैन टेल or you can do this activity at your home. Now you can imagine, as most of you have already seen this kind of small dust particles in your new room, or in any other area. Now you can imagine these dust particles are floating constantly in the atmosphere, and when you inhale or when you breathe in, they go into your body. Almighty has created our body in such a way that all these dust particles get trapped inside our nostril. However, most of these dust particles goes into our lungs, which may later cause cough and what do you call it, coughing and asthma problems and all these things. Now, the more dust particles goes into our body, the more we feel sick, or it is difficult for us to breathe. Now, if you are walking in a garden, it is very easy. Is it very good to breathe in and breathe out? You feel the fresh air. But suppose if you are stuck in a traffic, in traffic, if you open the car window or if you look at the atmosphere around you, there is lot of uh, what do we call it, dust particles and smoke all around us, and it is very difficult to breathe. So the traffic police sometimes wear masks, or they have to wrap their mouths so that these dust particles does not get in. I hope am I clear? आप लोग की समझ में आ रहा है या नहीं आ रहा है?
आ
सर
रहा
आ
है
रहा है क्लियरली।
Good. Now can roll number 34. Who is roll
यस
number
सर।
34? Can you please
यस
read
सर।
on page number 150, last paragraph? We
लास्ट
inhale
वीक।
air.
ओके। वी मे conclude then
No,
that
sorry,
air
beta, not from that, from the left side. We inhale air.
okay sir, we inhale air when we breathe through
सर वो
our
रीड हो गया है।
a- fine hair and mucus are present inside the nose. Nose to prevent dust particles from getting into the respiratory system. Do you recall being
सर
scolded
और रीड होगा
by your
Beta,
parents
let
when
her
you
read.
breathe through
Let
your
her
mouth?
read.
If you do that, harmful dust particles may enter your body. We may conclude then that air contains some gases, water vapor, and dust particles. The gases in air are mainly nitrogen, oxygen, small amount of carbon dioxide, and may other gases. However, there may be some variations in the composition of air from place to place. We see that air contains mostly nitrogen and oxygen.
Nitrogen.
Nitrogen and oxygen. In fact, these two gases together make up 99% of the air. The remaining 1% is constituted constituted by carbon dioxide and a few other gases and water vapor. Figure 15.9.
Okay, thank you. Now, when you are in a, let's say, dusty environment where there is a lot of dust particles floating in the atmosphere, and when you breathe in, all these dust particles goes into your nostril or through your mouth, it goes into your throat. Now, if it goes into your nostril, our nostril has a liquid called mucus. हमारी नाक के अंदर एक लिक्विड होता है जिसको हम म्यूकस कहते हैं. व्हाट इट डज इज इट ट्रैप्स मोस्ट ऑफ द डस्ट पार्टिकल्स. हमारी नाक के अंदर जो चिकना पार्ट्स रहता है उसको म्यूकस कहते हैं. और वो क्या करता है, जब डस्ट पार्टिकल्स अंदर जाते हैं तो वो उसको ट्रैप कर लेता है. इट कैचेस द डस्ट पार्टिकल्स so that only pure air or clean air goes into your inner part of the body, into your lungs. Now, if we continuously remain in dusty or dust particle containing atmosphere, it may harm our lungs also. Apart from that, we all know that our gas is consist of our air is consist of dust particles, oxygen, carbon dioxide, nitrogen, and many other gases. However, nitrogen and oxygen, I'm repeating it, nitrogen and oxygen, they constituents of 99% of gas in our air, in the atmosphere. Only 1% consists of all the other gases and dust particles. Nitrogen is 78%, oxygen is 21% in our atmosphere. So they both makes up to 99% of gases in our atmosphere. Look, there are other gases also, like let's say carbon dioxide, nitrogen, sorry, not nitrogen, nitrogen is 78%. Carbon dioxide is in very small quantity. There is another gas named argon, and there is one more gas. I cannot remember its name. Carbon, nitrogen, oxygen. Well, I cannot remember its name at this moment. However, there is another gas also. They all together makes only 1% of the atmosphere. Now, apart from this, I hope it is very clear that dust particles are harmful to our nose, and it also affects our lungs. So, are we clear till now? Does anyone has any doubt in it?
No, sir.
No.
No, sir.
No,
No,
sir.
sir.
Okay, can roll number 46? We'll move on to the
Yes,
other part. Roll number 46. Can you please read?
yes, sir. Activity 5. Take some water in a glass or metal container, heat it slowly on a tripod stand. Well, before the water begins to boil, look carefully at the inner surface of the container. Do you see tiny bubbles on the inside? Figure 15.10. These bubbles come from the air dissolves in water. When you heat the water begin with, the air dissolves in it accepts. As you continue heating, the water itself turns into vapor and finally begins to boil. We learned in chapter 8 and 9 that the animals living in water use the dissolved oxygen in water. The organism, the organisms that live in soil also need oxygen to respire, isn't it? How do they get the air they need for respiration?
Okay, thank you. Now, this activity shows that we all know plants. There are some plants and animals living inside the water. Now, plants living in the atmosphere can easily take oxygen, or sorry, carbon dioxide. However, plants living under the water, how do they take the carbon dioxide? And animals living under the water, how do they take oxygen? So the answer to this question is simple. A certain amount of oxygen gets dissolved in the water. Oxygen and water reacts and it forms a dissolved oxygen inside the water. This dissolved oxygen is used by fish and other aquatic animals. Aquatic animals means those animals living inside the water. They can use that water to breathe oxygen, because if oxygen is not only needed by us, fish also needs oxygen. but they have a different method of respiration. We have a different method of respiration. Now they have gills in order to take or dissolved oxygen from the water. However, we do not have gills. We have lungs. Just give me a minute. So when fish inhale through gills, they inhale and take oxygen and releases carbon dioxide. That carbon dioxide is used by any plants inside the water that are in water. So this is how exchange happens inside the water. But if you think that you can go inside the water and inhale, that is not possible because we have lungs, fish have gills. That is the reason why when you take fish out of the water, it dies. And if you get drowned into the water, if we get drowned into the water, we die. So we both have different respiratory systems which does not act in the other atmosphere. Fish's respiratory system will not act in atmosphere and our respiratory system will not work in inside the water. So when you this activity shows that when you heat a container containing water, you can see small droplets of water or small drops of gas that is collected or small bubbles that is collected at the bottom of the container. Now this indicates that it has oxygen or other gases in it. So I hope everyone is clear how fish or aquatic animals inhale.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, very good. Roll number 17. Amina, roll number 17.
Yes, sir.
Can you please read?
Sir, Amina Gogda.
Okay, have you completed reading, right? You did reading. Amina?
सर ये इस क्लास में दो आमीना है.
ओके, आमिना गोगदा आपने पढ़ लिया या बाकी था आपका?
सर मैंने अभी पढ़ा, अभी आमीना गोगदा की टर्न है. आपने बोला ना
ओके
17, तो आमीना गोगदा.
ओके, आई थिंक शी इज नॉट आंसरिंग. रोल नंबर 14. अजमत जहरा. रोल नंबर 14, अजमत जहरा. ओके, शी इज ऑल्सो नॉट आंसरिंग. रोल नंबर 44, आयशा पठान. Aisha Pathan. Okay, Aisha is also not answering. Roll number 28.
Yes, sir.
Samakala. Can you please read?
Sir,
Activity
page
6.
number.
Ah, it means you were not here. Page number 151, activity 6.
Yes, sir. સર મારો કોલ આવી ગયો હતો ને એટલે હું લેફ્ટ થઈ ગઈ.
ઓકે, હવે આવી ગયા તમે?
યસ સર.
હા, તો હવે વાંચો પેજ નંબર 151, activity 6.
Yes. Activity 6. Take a lump of dry soil in a beaker or a glass. Add water to it and note what happens. Figure 15.11. Do you see bubbles coming out for soil? These bubbles indicated the presence of air in the soil. When the water is poured on the lump of soil, it displaces the air which is seen in the form of bubbles. The organisms that live inside the soil and the plant roots disperse in this air. A lot of burrows and holes are formed in deep soil by the animals living in the soil. These burrows also make space allowable for air to move in and not out of the soil. However, when it rains heavily, water fills up all the space occupied by the air in the soil. In this situation, animals living in the soil have to come out for respiration. Could this be could this be the reason why earthworms come to off the soil only during heavy rains? Have you ever wondered why all the oxygen of atmosphere does not get used up through a large number of organisms or consuming it? Who is refilling the oxygen in the atmosphere?
Okay, thank you. Now, we saw in the first activity how animals living in water, that is, aquatic animals, inhale or take oxygen. However, there are some animals which are living deep inside the soil. They also need oxygen. So, there is an activity that can be done in order to find out there is oxygen inside the or air inside the soil also. Now, if you have, all of you have, what do we call it? Flower pot.
Yes, sir.
Okay. If you have a flower, if you have a flower pot and if you put soil in it, and when you pour water into that flower pot, you will see that small bubbles of water comes out of it. Have you seen?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Sometimes it sometimes it happens sometimes it happens that if you are standing near if you put a lot of water, or let's say a bottle full of water on a ground, you will see that small bubbles of water comes out of the ground. This shows that these activities shows that there is an atmosphere, sorry, there is an air or oxygen inside the soil also. Now these animals which are living under the ground, underground, we call them underground animal, living animals. They use this oxygen in order to inhale and releases carbon dioxide in order exhaling while exhaling. અણસલા તો જોયા જ ને બધાએ. Have you seen earthworm?
Yes.
True, sir. What?
Yes.
The what? Yes, sir.
What, sir?
Okay,
Earthworm.
let me see.
Yes, sir.
અણસલા જોયા છે?
No.
Earthworm જોયેલા છે ઓળસલા નથી જોયેલા.
No, sir.
બેટા એને ગુજરાતીમાં
Sir,
અણસલા
please.
કહેવાય.
English
Okay.
में શું કહેવાય?
Earthworm.
Sir,
Earthworm.
Okay.
please.
All of you, have you seen earthworm?
Yes.
Sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, give me a minute. Okay, આ તો જોયેલા જ ને બધાએ?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
હે ને? They live under the soil.
Yes, sir.
હે ને? હવે
Yes,
જોયા
sir.
છે. અને અણસલા કહેવાય ગુજરાતીમાં, but we call it earthworm in English. Now, these earthworms also need oxygen in order to breathe in and out. Now, they are living under the soil, so when there is a lot of water or when it rains heavily, they come out in order to inhale, because they don't have gills like fish to inhale, so they have to come out of the soil in order to inhale. Now we are discussing about oxygen for a long, it's been a long time we are discussing about the oxygen. We all know that animals also need oxygen, human beings also need oxygen, fish living in the sea also need oxygen, birds flying in the air also need oxygen, lion, tiger, cheetah, everyone needs oxygen. Even earthworm living under the soil also need oxygen. Now, if all animals inhale oxygen, તો ઓક્સિજન ખાલી નહીં થઈ જાય?
No, sir.
No,
No,
sir.
sir.
આપણને આપણે કાર્બન ડાયોક્સાઇડ આપણે દઈએ ને
No, sir.
ઓક્સિજન આપે.
Sir, because plants exhale carbon dioxide and plants inhale carbon dioxide and exhale oxygen.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So, as she said, plants inhale carbon dioxide and exhale oxygen. So, it means we only have one natural resource which can replenish or uh, increase the quantity of oxygen in our atmosphere, and that is plants. Am I right?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Do we have
Yes.
any other method to get oxygen? No, currently we do not have any other methods to get oxygen. We cannot get oxygen in the air. It's only plants that inhale carbon dioxide and exhale oxygen. They replenishes the atmosphere with oxygen. Now, if we start cutting a tree, now do you understand why we give importance to the trees? We should not cut the trees because if we'll cut all the trees on this planet, we can use the oxygen, but afterwards we will all die. So it is plants, and we have to grow more plants, which releases carbon dioxide, and we use that which releases oxygen, and we use that oxygen to inhale. So this is one of the important reason why we should not cut the trees. Is it clear, everyone?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay. Can we move on to roll number 13, Chataria Maria?
Sir, can
Yes,
I
sir.
roll number 7?
No, beta, it's Chataria Maria's turn. Chataria Maria, are you
Yes,
present?
sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Page number 152, topic 15.4. How is the oxygen in the atmosphere replaced?
In chapter number 7, we read about photosynthesis. In this process, plants make their own food and oxygen is produced along with it. Plants also consume oxygen for respiration, but they produce more of it than they consume. That is why we say plants produce oxygen. It is obvious that animals cannot live without plants. The balance of oxygen the, and carbon dioxide in the atmosphere is maintained through respiration in plants and animals and by the photosynthetics in the plants. This shows in the interdependence of plants and animals. We can now appreciate how important air is for life on Earth. Are, are there any other uses of air? Have you heard about a windmill? Look at figure 15.12.
Okay, thank you, Maria. Thank you. Now we all know that plants releases oxygen and it inhales carbon dioxide. Plants also need oxygen for photosynthesis, some part of oxygen, but they produce more oxygen. That is the reason why they releases extra oxygen into the atmosphere, and that oxygen is used by human beings and animals. All those organisms living on this planet, they need oxygen. Now there is a process called photosynthesis. Plants takes in carbon dioxide, it prepares food. All this happens in leaves. So plants have leaves. Leaves is also called kitchen of a plant because બધું ત્યાં જ પાકતું હોય છે. Oxygen preparation, food preparation, sugar, starch, all these is prepared in leaves, and that process is called photosynthesis. It happens in presence of sunlight. Most of the plants we are talking, there are some plants which does not do photosynthesis, but we are talking more about most of the plants. Now, roll number 37.
Sir, can I
Minsa-
roll number 25?
roll number 37. Minsaria कौन है? She's not answering. Roll number 46. She's done.
सर 46 का
Roll
टर्न
number
आ गया.
30. Roll number 30. Kapasi Afrin.
Yes, sir.
Can you please read the last paragraph?
The wind makes the windmill rotate. The
The windmill is used to draw water from tube wells and to run flour mills. Windmills are also used to generate electricity. Air helps in the movements of sailing yachts, gliders, parachutes, and aeroplanes. Birds, bats, and insects can fly due to the presence of air. Air also helps in the dispersal of seeds and pollen of flowers of several plants, and air plays an important role in water cycle.
So air, we discussed about the importance of air, and it is very important for us. We all know all about the importance of air. Now, if you want to use it in the for ship, what we can do is we can use look at the importance of air in a video. I'll show you a video tomorrow, not in today, inshallah. I'll show it tomorrow. Where air is also used in generation of electricity. If there is no air, birds cannot fly, aeroplane cannot fly, we cannot sail the boat, and there would be a lot of, I mean, there would life not would not have been possible without air. So there are these are the importance of air. Now we'll discuss and revise this chapter once again in the next lecture. I'm not sure when do I have the next lecture, but we'll revise this chapter and we'll discuss more points about this chapter. Does anyone has any doubt in it now?
No, sir.
No, sir.
No,
Okay.
sir.
No, sir. No,
So
sir. No doubt.
thank you all of you. So we
No,
end this
sir. No.
today. We end today's session with this, and thank you all of you for joining the office.
Bye.
Officer. Thank you, sir. Bye bye, sir.
Bye.
Bye bye, sir.
Bye.
Thank you, sir.
Bye bye, sir.
Bye.
Bye, sir.